Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and I am so excited that you're here to catch the weekly replay of my laid-back yet very inspiring conversations with other full-time professional artists. The purpose of this series is to show aspiring artists that it is completely possible to have a great career in the arts. And if you ever want to tune in and have your questions answered in real time by myself or featured guests, then just check out the schedule over at facebook.com/groups/Artist Academy every Tuesday to catch us on live. I'll see you there. This episode is sponsored by the Artist Academy Advanced Membership, a program for artists who want to up-level their art game by taking it from a hobby or a side hustle to a full-time six-figure art business. With weekly trainings that include step-by-step proven art business techniques, plus painting tutorials from yours truly and other guest artists who are masters in their field, you will be well equipped to learn and grow into the highly skilled and highly profitable artist you know you're meant to be. I've figured out what it takes to build my own six-figure art business, and now my heart is set on teaching aspiring artists like you to do the same. It's not hard, but it does require your time and dedication. So if you're up for the challenge, go to advancedmember.com. That's advancedmember.com to learn more. This week's episode features colored pencil artist and new author, Sema. Sema and I are a perfect subject match because we both emphasize in teaching the business side of art, the best side if you ask us. We're on the same wavelength when it comes to art education, and I was so excited she agreed to be a guest on this podcast. Sema is my ideal guest, actually, because she's both a great example of what an artist can become in a very short amount of time, and she's a great resource for artists who want to start an art business. She wrote and published a book herself, which you can pick up at semamartin.com if you're looking to profit from your art. And come on, aren't we all looking to do exactly that? Sema is full of art business advice designed to help you make money at doing the thing you love. And I also want to point out really quick that Sema and we do the exact same thing in different ways. I have a podcast and she has a book, and we got together to promote each other. And I just wanted to say and emphasize that because there is enough room for everyone at the table, whether you're an artist or a coach or a photographer or any profession, actually. What if you got together with someone in the same field as you, who offers a very similar product as you, and you promoted each other, like we're doing today? This is a little off topic for an intro, but I wanted to plant the seed of the idea in your mind to maybe, I don't know, you could go live with an artist that you know maybe this week. If someone likes your content, then they are likely going to resonate with a similar artist's content and vice versa. And by you getting together with them, it is doubling your reach. So just think about it. And I hope you're ready to get schooled on how to start an art business with this week's episode with Sema Martin. Can you introduce yourself a little bit and tell anybody who may not have heard of you who you are and how you got into the arts?
Yep, so I'm Sema Martin. I'm a colour pencil pet portrait artist specialising in realistic work. I've been a full-time artist for about 3 years now, going on 4 years in September, which is quite exciting. So I haven't always been an artist. I've always loved art and drawing. And I've got childhood pictures of me in a corner with a colouring book, colouring things in. I hated reading and writing and all that kind of stuff. I'd always be colouring on everything I could find. So, but yeah, it wasn't until I was in school that, you sort of get to that age when people are okay, so what do you want to do as a real career now? You have to pick a subject and pick a path. And no one ever really says that art is one of those paths. They're always like, oh yeah, you're really good at drawing, but what do you really want to do? Like insinuating that art isn't the thing I should be choosing. So I was, a bit thinking about like, okay, what else do I like? So I really like space. And I was fascinated by space and space travel and a bit of a sci-fi nerd. So I was like, okay, I'll go do engineering. And so I studied aerospace engineering. I got a master's in that. And then I did a few years as a mechanical engineer. And then I got bored of that. And then I was like, okay, so what else do I want to do? Another big thing would be to work for NASA. So I was like trying to find out how to work for NASA. And as like an international person, like not a US citizen, it's really hard to work for NASA. So I was trying to find a way into there, and I stumbled upon the International Space University. I was like, oh my God, that sounds like the thing that's amazing for people who are interested in space. So I applied for there and I studied there for a year, and I managed to get in an intern at NASA Ames Research Center for 3 months in California, which was amazing. I love California. I really want to go back and maybe like have an art gallery there. That would be really cool. Yeah, so I did that, and that was all really exciting. And the thing about this course is that it taught you everything to do about the space industry. So you also learned like law and the business side of things. And then that's what sort of got me thinking about business a bit more. And you got to meet loads of startup companies that have like, they grouped together and did like satellite startups and things. And I was thinking, oh, okay, so maybe I could do a business in something. It seems really good. But then I got a bit lost after that. I wasn't sure what to do anymore. And I was like waiting for my PhD to start. I applied to do a PhD. And like I was struggling to figure out what I wanted and what would make me happy. And I started drawing again. And my friend asked me to draw a picture of her cat that had just recently passed away. And I was like, oh, okay, I'd love to do this for you. And she offered to pay me, which is really nice. I'd never been paid for any artwork before. It was always like drawing things for people's birthdays and for Christmas and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, okay, being paid for an artwork, that sounds good. So I drew that, and she was so happy with it. Like it was a really weird feeling, like giving someone an artwork that they've commissioned, and they're just so happy, and it was really fulfilling and a really nice feeling. And I thought, oh, well, maybe this is something I can explore and do more. So I posted the picture of this cat on Facebook, and I got loads of response from people like all over the world, especially America, of other people asking me to draw their cats. And I was like, oh my gosh, like people actually want me to do things for them for money. So I was like, oh, maybe this could be an actual business. So the more I did it, the more commissions I got, and then my business sort of like grew from there. And for about 6 months, I was trying to do my PhD and the commissions at the same time. But it got to a point where I was struggling to do both. And I really had to choose, do I want to continue this engineering career that I've started, or am I just going to completely start afresh and go for the art? And I decided to go for the art. So 3 years later, my business is still going, so that's good. And now I just really want to inspire other artists to do the same and really make that leap, because it can be quite scary.
Yes, I bet. Oh my gosh. And just to have so many years of education, if you have your master's, and just to have so much background in that, and then to be like, okay, well, that's not really wasted, because I'm sure you've learned a lot from going to school and just like getting like dedication towards your studies, and all of that carries over into your art business. So it's definitely not all wasted, but it's definitely just a huge turn. I mean,
massive.
Yeah, but that's amazing. I love that. I mean, everything's working out. So it's like, okay, and you're not bored yet of it as you did the other profession.
No. Yeah. The thing about doing a business is that it's quite a lot to take on, so you can't get bored because there isn't enough time to get bored.
Exactly. I was just saying that through quarantine. I'm like, everybody's complaining that they're bored, but like there's
Yeah.
always something that I could be doing, that we could be doing, whether it's painting or doing something to our website or advertising in a new way,
Yeah.
or it's just I'm never bored. I'm always like, okay, well, there's a million things on my to-do list. Which one do
Yeah,
I want to
exactly.
do?
Yeah, oh, I find that too. It's like, I'm bored. Do you want to do a Skype session? It's like, no, I don't have time. I'm trying to do this thing. What are you talking about? I'm still working till like 2 a.m.
That's amazing. So, what was the tipping point, would you say, that made you go into the arts?
I think it was really like that choice between like having I had like a 6 month wait list at the time. And I was like, gosh, 6 months of worth of people are waiting for me to do this artwork. And my PhD, I was struggling a bit with that because it was quite hard. And
Yeah.
it's hard to do a PhD if you're not fully committed to it. And with my engineering, I've never been fully committed. Like I was committed enough to do it, but it wasn't passionate about it. When people like wake up in the morning and they just have to start work. I didn't feel like that with my engineering, but I felt like that with my art. So I was like, well, I'm really passionate about this subject and I want to do it. So it was really like, it was that feeling of, let's just go into it and let's just take the leap, quit the engineering and just go straight into the art. And I think as soon as I did that, I felt this massive relief. So it did feel like it was the right thing to do. I wasn't filled with dread after, so that's good.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a really good point. Just like listening to like your body and how it reacts to
yeah,
certain things. Like, do you feel relief or do you feel stress?
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So
wow.
I
Okay.
felt I felt a massive relief after.
Yeah. That's great. Okay. So what makes up your typical workday? How many hours do you spend painting?
I probably spend maximum about 9 hours a day drawing. But I try and like get up quite early. Like when you're your own boss, you have to try and make your own timeline and be really disciplined about it. So you can't just like wake up at 1 and then stay in your PJs all day. Like you're not very productive that way. So I try and like get up at 8 and do a workout, get those endorphins going. And then I like start drawing and do admin bits and bobs in the morning, like answering comments or questions I've had like during the night. And then I start drawing and I try and draw and have regular breaks like lunch breaks and dinner breaks because sometimes you really get in the zone and you forget to like, oh, I haven't eaten in like 4 hours or drunk anything. So you have to try and be quite disciplined about that. And then I normally spend my evenings doing admin work, like working on my website or doing a blog post or talking to potential customers and stuff like that. And I try and end my day like around 10ish to actually spend time with my husband. Otherwise, but luckily he works at home as well. So we literally sit next together all day, every day. So it's not like I don't see him, but it's nice to spend one-on-one quality time in the evening. So we just like catch up on our programs and things like that. So I do try and have like a healthy working day. But then there are days when you're just like working and then suddenly it's 2 a.m. and you're like, oops, I should probably go to bed now. um, yeah, so I try and do a normal working day, but it's quite difficult.
Oh my gosh, so your husband works at home too. That's exciting.
Yeah,
You guys have a
yeah,
pretty good system set up to where, you can both do your own thing, yet be together.
yeah, we've taken over the attic. So I have one half of the attic and he's got the other half. So my drawing board and everything takes up massive room. So I need half a room space full of stuff. And I've got like a packing station and then I've got my desk area. So I've got like the various zones that you sort of need for a business, your office, your drawing, and then actually packing and distributing things. Yeah, so we've got that set up, which is quite good. And then he's got his own stuff as well.
That's so fun. Okay. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
definitely relate to that because my husband sells insurance, but he can work
Yeah.
from his phone. And so often
Mm.
he'll be in the living room and I'll be in my little studio and we'll just kind of like
Yeah.
meet for lunch and sometimes like
Yeah.
in the kitchen. And I'll be like, okay,
Yeah.
well,
Have a tea
don't
break.
bother me. I'm going back
Yeah.
to work. Don't bother me anymore. Thank you. He's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's
Awesome.
quite nice.
So you made this transition here recently to where, you know, you're drawing full time. And then
Mhm.
you decided that you wanted to write a book. Let's just dive into that really quick. And so, like, when did
Yeah.
you make that transition to where, okay, I've got everything pretty much figured out in my own art business. Now I
Mhm.
want to teach others.
Yeah. So I was sort of like, I got to a point where I was getting regular commissions and, that's going well, that's ticking over. I've sort of learned how to talk to customers, how to find my customers. You sort of get into a routine with that. And after 3 years of doing it, I sort of got that down to a routine and a formula way of doing that. So I thought, okay, so what else and how can I take my career to the next level? Because, I don't want to draw cats forever. I want to try and do more things. So I was looking at other artists and other ones. I saw them doing like tutorials and like they're doing YouTube and Patreon and like teaching techniques. And I thought, oh, I'm not very good at teaching because I'm self-taught. So I don't really know like the technical things of how to describe stuff or how to say things. And because I've never been taught it myself, I wouldn't know where to start for teaching a specific way of doing things. Like I literally just, you give me the picture and I draw it. Done. I wouldn't know how to explain it. So I thought, okay, so what else can I do? And what can I do passionately enough to actually get some exposure for that? So I thought, okay, well, I really like the business side of things. And I get so many artists asking me questions about how they get commissions, how can they start a business, where can they find customers. And I thought, okay, well, instead of continually answering all these questions all the time, and I did a few blog posts and that kind of thing, I thought, okay, maybe I'll do a blog post on it. And then that sort of evolved to, oh, maybe I'll do a small ebook on it. And then I just kept thinking bigger and bigger. And I thought, okay, let's write a book. There's so many questions. There's so many artists out there that want to know the same thing. So I thought if I just put everything into one space that would be like so valuable for anybody starting an art business, like what I would find valuable if I was going to start again. I just wanted to put all that information in one place. So I started writing my book in December. It's been really hard writing a book alongside doing commissions. Like it's been quite a lot of long hours, but I finished writing the book last month, and then it was like a massive editing process and then getting it printed and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I really just wanted there to be the book. If you want to start an art business, you literally hand someone this book and they can do it. And it would contain everything to do with this is how you plan a business. This is how you sort out your commission times. This is how you price your work. This is how you set up social media. This is how you use PR to get into journalists, to talk to journalists and get into magazines. And then also I've got a chapter on how you would develop as an artist. So go to YouTube and find tutorials on your specific techniques that you want to learn, or join societies. Like there's loads of art societies out there, like the Colour Pencil Society and things that you can join. And that's sort of like a community of people that have similar interests. But with that comes opportunities for like galleries and exposure and stuff. So I really wanted to help people, just give them that boost and that confidence, because I think a lot of things that people struggle with is like fear of not knowing what to do. So then they don't start it in the first place. So I thought if I gave them the information to start, then that would boost their confidence and make them feel like they know what they're doing and that they could actually do it. So that was the sort of mission behind the book.
I love it. I love everything about that because we have a very similar background in that way too. Like
Mm,
I love the business side of it, which was another reason I was so excited to talk to you
mm.
because you get it. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of artists don't maybe put two and two together that like they don't like the business side of it. But to
Mm.
me and you, I'm sure too, it's like if you do the business side right, it's gonna give you customers, which will give you,
Yeah.
like revenue, which will give you all the things. And so that's why I like the business side of it. And
Yeah.
it's as soon as then but like
Mm.
if you don't understand the business side of it, it can be really frustrating. So I'm so excited that you wrote a
Yeah.
book. Oh my gosh, that is
Yeah.
no small feat too. It's,
Yes.
oh my gosh. So what is it called?
It's called How to Start an Art Business, and then Art is My Career. So crossed out hobby.
Yeah, so art is not my
Because
hobby.
it's,
Art is a career.
yeah. Yeah, Art is My Career. So it's a 200-page hardback book.
Oh
And then I've
wow.
also got an ebook available as well.
Okay.
It's also all color coordinated. I remember my mum saying once how all of my revision notes were really beautiful and they're a work of art themselves. So I thought, okay, well, when I study, I like to color coordinate things because it sort
Yeah.
of helps my memory of remembering stuff. I was like, oh yeah, that was the orange section. I can remember that now. So I've color coordinated every chapter. So like social media is the blue chapter, and then all the diagrams are blue, and then it sort of helps you that way to be more visual when you're reading. Otherwise, it's very boring, blocky information if it's not split up and visualized a bit more. So
Oh
that's sort of
wow.
how I've done the book.
I love that. You're adding a little bit of art
Yeah.
element into
Yeah.
the fundamental book. Okay, so let's just talk
Yeah.
about the book writing process for a second. Did you have an
Yeah.
outline of what you wanted to do, and then you just kind of broke it down into sections?
Yeah, so I sort of went through all the questions people would have been asking me over the years, and I sort of like wrote those all down. And then I tried to segment those into chapters. So I had quite a few people asking me about social media. How do I get more followers? Things like that. So I was like, okay, so social media, that could be a chapter on its own. I could talk about Facebook and Instagram because I rely heavily on social media to get customers. I always get customers through Facebook, social media, and Instagram. Like they see my profile, then they go to my website and contact me through there, or they contact me directly through Instagram or Facebook. So I think it's such an important thing to understand, and especially like nowadays, everyone is using social media. So there's no reason why you shouldn't learn how to use it. And the how part was a massive factor because there's all these algorithms and formulas and things that social media uses to get people engaged. So I wanted to learn how to use that, and then I could teach other people. So I did a few courses on that. There's like Udemy, you can do courses on things. So I did some paid courses on Udemy for things like Facebook and Instagram and email campaigns, and because I wanted to learn it all for myself to make sure I was doing it right before you start writing it down and telling everyone how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that, and I basically, continued going through all the questions that people would ask me, like, how do you find customers? Do I need a website? What would I have on my website? And I basically made all of those into chapters, and then I just started going through each one. And the introduction to my book and like the first two chapters is about my story and how I sort of decided to become an artist and how I decided to take on a business. Because obviously businesses aren't for everyone, but it can be for everyone if you're disciplined and patient enough for it. So I was trying to think, okay, so what in someone in my position, say 3 years ago, what would I tell them? What could they do? What were they fearing? I've got a chapter on like facing your fears as well.
Oh,
So
that's
like,
good.
what are the common fears? Like, am I good enough to sell my art is a massive fear. So it's sort of like trying to help give people confidence to get through the book basically and to start their art business, because there's a lot of fears that people have initially, and I feel like that sort of stops them from starting in the first place. And it's fine to be afraid of something, but you shouldn't let it stop you. You sort of have to figure out, okay, how am I going to get over this fear to get what I really want to do? So that's sort of what my book takes you through. It takes you through the start. I'm scared of doing this. I don't know how to do this. And then one by one, by the end of the book, you should know exactly how to start and how to develop as an artist and your business.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's just like, and I always say like, there's no guide for this art career, but you actually made a guide, basically.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because I just want someone to tell me, how do I do it? Like, there's like various bits of information. Like, if you Google how to do an art career, you find various blogs and articles with like snippets of information, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're vague. I hate things that are really vague. So if you type in how to get more followers, it's all really vague. Nothing really tells you actually how to do it. It's like, all right, I'm going to make a book that tells you actually how to do it. If you follow each thing I say, you should actually do a really good business, because I'm sort of proof of concept. I've based it on my personal journey, and I've based it on what I do. So I've even done like little daily, monthly and weekly tasks based on what I do every day and every week and every month. So it's not like I've said loads of random things. It's all proof of concept kind of thing. Like, this is what I do, and you can do it too, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody's like art career and path is going to be exactly the same, but you can use yours and like, okay, this is a proven concept,
Yeah.
you use what you want, take what you want, take what you need, and then kind of spice it up in your own way too, and go for it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh. That's exactly what the Artist Academy is that I started. Like, we like every week we go through something, and I'm like, this is how I do it, but you can do it on your own, or you can choose not to do it, and that's exactly how your book is. I love it. Are you gonna do a voiceover of your book, so like put it on Audible?
I was thinking about it. I was sure, like, I personally don't like my voice, so I might get someone else to do it.
I don't think anybody likes their voice,
Yeah, it's like, but then you'd have to listen to it for hours to edit it. It's like, could I go through that? Like, I'm not quite sure. I might do. It depends how high demand people want the audio version. I've sold a lot of ebook versions, which is good, and I've almost sold 100 hard copies, which is really exciting.
Congrats!
So, yeah, since last week. So I'll have to put in a new order soon. But yeah, I'm not sure about the audio yet, but I might do it if I have enough people asking me for it.
Okay. Also, another question, do you have a publisher, or did you edit it all yourself and do it all yourself?
I did it all myself.
I love that.
Got my husband to edit it and my husband's dad to edit it as well, because they're both quite good at English and editing, and I'm dyslexic, so I can't see mistakes and things like the word here. I would write it as in here rather than like over here. So and I would think that's right because I can't see that it's a mistake. So I needed other people to edit my book. And as a dyslexic, I literally never thought I'd write a book in a million years, because I hate even reading. Like, get me to sit down and read. No, I don't want to read it. I just want to look at pretty pictures and draw pretty pictures. Like, I don't want to read anything. I just hate it. But I actually sit down and write the book. It was really difficult, and it definitely, I don't know, the whole editing process kind of knocks my confidence a little bit when I was like, oh no, there's another mistake and another mistake. It's like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. And so it took me quite a long time to edit through it, just trying to get through my dyslexia. So it's been a massive mission. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, I'm just trying to think of this whole book editing process. You have me like, you have my wheels turning. Like, what would I write a book of? And I'm like, I have no idea right now. I'm like, maybe I would just do like an audiobook only, because I would much rather talk than read a book. But okay, awesome. Okay, so where can you find your book? I guess we should just ask that too. Like, how? Okay, so you said that you were ordering copies. So
so I get it printed. So I've been getting it printed like 200 at a time. So
where?
Yeah, otherwise I can't, on a printing website.
Okay.
So just like, you literally send them the PDF and they print it as a book.
Oh wow, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I designed everything myself, and I just give it to them as a PDF format and say, you know, I want a hardback, I want a matte finish, and then you just pay for it up front, and then they print it, and then they send it to you.
Okay, and then so
So
you're shipping it.
yes, I'm shipping it.
Oh, that's
So
so cool.
I bet go to the post office like with a big pile of books like every morning, like here you go, here's some more.
Oh, that's so exciting
Yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so where can people buy it? Do they go to your website, which is
Yeah, it's only available on my website at the moment. I'm gonna look into getting it on Amazon, but right now it's just on my website, semamartin.com. And yeah, they can either buy the hardback for $19.99 or the ebook version, which is $14.99, or they can have an ebook hardback combo, which is $24.99. And all of them come with 6 downloadable documents. So I made up some documents to help people with their businesses. So I've got like a PR strategy document where they can document all of their ideas and article ideas, and then they can start listing journalists and magazines that they, you know, want to be published in, and contacts and things like that. And then I also made up a spreadsheet for commission wait lists. So they can start adding all their commission information and like, you know, their customer contact details. And that also comes with like, you know, when you're doing your taxes and stuff, you need to make sure you're documenting everything. They've got a whole section on making it legal because you need to make your business legal as well. So I've got a whole section on that, on like documenting all your income and your outgoings and your expenses. And then I've got another document on an email pitch template. So when you're pitching to a journalist, this is sort of how you would say it and how you would arrange the email to sound really friendly and informative. Yeah, so, and then a social media checklist template as well. So
okay.
I've got some, they all comes with the books.
Oh my gosh, so it's literally just like a fun pack of like, okay, here's your art business
Yeah,
for you. Take it or leave it,
yeah,
use it, and become an artist.
literally. It's like a starter pack kind of thing. And I've also got an exclusive Facebook group going. So people who buy the book can then join the Facebook group and then ask any questions that they want or need to know about. And I also trying to do like weekly challenges and things to get people motivated and to keep them motivated, because it can be quite a lot of information all at once. And, you know, doing your own business and especially doing an art business can be kind of lonely when you're just sitting there by yourself. So I wanted to kind of create this group so people can just like sort of bounce ideas off each other and talk to each other. Like I have my husband to bounce ideas off, but not everybody has that. So I wanted to try and create a group where people can do that. Like, oh, I've got an idea for doing this. You know, what do you guys think? So yeah, just a place where artists can really feel safe and feel like they can build a career out of it. And, you know, they're all helping each other do it. So
I love that.
yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I love that you're giving extended support too. It's not just, you know, buy my book, okay, see ya. It's like, okay, if you have
Yeah.
a question, come to this group and, you know, you're
Yeah.
with a community of artists who are going through the same thing and I'll
Yeah.
help answer it for you. So it's, yeah, you're very much committed to this. I love it. I love the detail in it too. And I was
Oh,
just thinking
thanks.
this could only come from someone who has a master's degree, you know, and because I feel
Yeah.
like the detailedness that you have is that you had to have going through school and all of that, and in your very realistic drawings, like this all it all bleeds over into this book. And so I mean you're
Yeah.
not doing anything like halfway. It's like, okay,
No.
this master's degree, this drawing that is very detailed and in colored pencil, and this book, it's all like
Yeah.
this is everything I can do. I'm doing it to the best of my ability, and here it is. I love that. I love that follow through that you have. And a
Oh,
lot of
thanks.
artists, no problem. Yeah, and I just want to put that out there too because I see it in myself too. Like, it's very, very easy to start something and then just kind of like, veer off into a different direction or like, this isn't fun
Yeah.
anymore. Like, you know? But I think you're a great example of someone who just sees it through, does it right, and is now seeing results from it. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
coincidence that you're getting results in your art business because you are so thorough with it. And so I just wanted to, you know, applaud you for that and also use
Oh,
you as a
thank
great
you.
example to other people who are, you know, who like, you know, they start something and then they kind of get get like distracted and go off into something else. It's like, no,
Mm.
look at what you're doing and to see it through, and you'll
Yeah.
also see results. So yeah.
And I think that's why parts of my book are so important, because I do talk about setting goals and having short-term goals and long-term goals. And that really helps you stay motivated, because, you know, even things like, okay, by the end of the day, I'm going to email so-and-so about getting a testimonial. And then that testimonial, you know, when they send it to you, is another way to get a potential customer, because you're showing off your work, you're showing, you know, look, this customer was really happy, they've got my work, this is what my work looks like in real life. You know, that would always, you know, help you get more customers. So I really wanted to give people the confidence to kind of set those goals and set those timelines and really think about what they can achieve and what they want to achieve as well, because not everybody knows. So sort of like the third chapter of my book is, you know, plan your business. What do you actually want to achieve with your art career? Like, really sit down and think about it, because if you don't know what you're doing, it's really hard to suss out if you're being successful or not, because you've got nothing to measure against. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just like figuring out first what you want. Because, I mean, a lot of people, if you ask them, hey, what do you want? And they're like, I don't know, to be an artist. It's like, yeah, but what, like, exactly do you want? And a lot of people can't
Yeah.
answer that.
Yeah. And I think that's why the first thing in my book is to answer it. What do you want? What are you trying to achieve? Because there's no point, you know, building the best Instagram post and email list and, you know, drawing every day if you don't know what you're trying to strive towards. So
Yeah,
yeah, I wanted to
exactly.
really treat it like a real thing, a real career.
Yes, because it is. It's a real career.
Yes.
Let's see. Okay, so let's just get on with some other questions now.
Okay.
Can you talk us through your drawing process? Are there any methods or techniques that you've picked up through your years of experience with creating these very realistic and detailed portraits, animal portraits?
Yes. Yeah, so I started off just doing color pencil. And then I found the pan pastels. They're quite, I guess they're relatively new. They're like come in little, find one. They come in little pans like this, and it's like really, really defined color, like this really concentrated pastel. It's just powder. So I found another artist using these, and I thought, oh, well, they look quite good. So I bought some and I tried them out, and I found that they're so good, because color pencil takes quite a long time. It's a tiny little area that you're doing, and it's very time consuming. But I found this pan pastel, if I use it as a base layer to like block in all the colors, and then I could draw over the top with my color pencil and really get in those details. So I really liked using that technique, and I use it all the time now. So I always have like the pan pastel behind, and then I draw with my color pencil over the top and then spray it all afterwards.
Okay, awesome. So just a
Yeah.
shortcut in that. Yeah, because I'm sure
Yeah.
it does take a long time to do all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, I can imagine. Like I paint murals, so I'm using a giant brush, and
Mm.
I just can't do it fast enough. I'm like, if it's,
Yeah.
I just can't imagine using a tiny, tiny brush on a big canvas like you do,
Yeah.
or even just a giant piece of paper. Oh, yeah, bless
Yeah.
your patience.
Yeah, you'd have to have a lot of patience for color pencil work, I think. I always used to do oil painting when I was younger, so I would have said I was a painter really rather than a color pencil artist. This was kind of a gateway to get back into art, and then I've really fallen in love with it because it's quite easy to just start and it's not messy. And then I'm terrible with washing brushes, so I don't even like use paint anymore because I never wash my brushes. So color pencil's just a really easy way to just start drawing and start art again. But it also, because I use really high quality pencils, they are very bright and colorful as well. So you can, if you get like wax pencils that I have, they do kind of have that oil painting effect to them. So they do look really high quality as well.
Okay, I'm sure everybody wants to know, what brand of colored pencils are you using? Because I get that question a lot too, and I don't really use colored pencils, so I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, so I use two brands. I've got some here. So I use Faber-Castell Polychromos. They're an oil based. Are they oil based? Something like that. They're quite a hard pencil, so they're really good for fine detail. And then I use the Caran d'Ache range. There's Caran d'Ache Luminance, which is a wax pencil, and the warmer this is, the easier it is to color with. So I guess it's like a wax crayon, but obviously nice high quality. These are like £4 a pencil. They're so expensive, but they're the best pencil ever. Like, I really, really love them. They're just so vibrant. And so I normally use this as sort of like to add a base and to start building the layers, because with color pencil, if you want it to look realistic, it's like, 4 or 5 layers on one section. So I like to start, yeah, I like to start with the Caran d'Ache Luminance, and then I've got the Pablos, Caran d'Ache Pablo pencils. They're a harder pencil like the Polychromos, but they have different color varieties. So they've got a lot more like browns and grays, which you'd use for like white animal fur and stuff. So I really like their color range. So I sort of use those for the fine detail as well. So I start with the pan pastel, block in the colors, then I use my softer, waxier pencil to start adding in the layers of color, and then over the top the detail with the harder pencil, and then just some white over the top sometimes, like either with paint or you use an indent tool to like put in the whiskers and stuff first. So you indent the paper and it leaves the space white, and then you can colour in over the top, and then that gap is still there because you've indented it, and then you can sometimes put like a white pencil over the top, and there isn't, because it's not overlapping a lot of layers of pencil, it still shows up really white. So
I would have never even thought of that. Yeah, because that is working like almost backwards from doing acrylics, because we do like whites on the top. Okay. So I've also heard of this one trick to where like if you do hair, you'll like indent it, kind of like you said, and then you'll do like over it. Is that a thing?
I do that only for whiskers, really. So because you want the whiskers to be as bright as possible. Any whiskers or white hairs kind of thing. So I indent it, and then I start applying my layers of colour over the top, and then it leaves the indented area, sort of white. But I would still draw white over the top to make it really pop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's just a whole area of expertise that I know nothing about, but I'm excited that you do it, so you can tell people about it.
Yeah, I'll tell people.
Awesome. Okay. So have you thought about doing any like art tutorials on colored pencil stuff? Like, why do the business side first?
Because I've got like 2 tutorials on my YouTube channel with like, some writing about how I do it, and because I do record everything I do, and I like to have a time lapse going. But as I said before, I'm not really sure how to explain it, and I don't really know the names of techniques or the names of the way you do things, and it does require a lot of thought in terms of, okay, because I just sort of automatically do it now, and I have to think, okay, so why am I doing that? Okay, how did I choose that color? And it is just a whole nother mindset that I haven't quite tried out yet. And I was more passionate. There's a lot of tutors out there. There's like amazing color pencil artists like Bonnie Snowden. She does a lot of tutorials, and she does Patreon color pencil stuff, and she does specifically color pencil. And there's also Kirsty Partridge. She does incredible tutorials on Patreon and YouTube. I actually started learning from her how to use color pencils when I first started, just her YouTube channel. So I feel like there's already amazing artists out there doing it really, really well. But there wasn't enough people talking about the business side and how to actually make money out of it. Because, you can create the most beautiful painting in the world, but if you don't know how to market yourself, and if you don't know how to sell yourself as an artist, you'll never make any money from it. So I really wanted to approach that side of things. And I thought that was a gap that I could contribute to better than trying to follow all these other people that are doing loads of amazing videos and high def time lapses and things like that. I thought I could just approach the business side because I think I'm better at that than trying to make a tutorial.
Exactly. Yes. Take the road less traveled.
Yeah.
Okay. So, is there anything you don't like to create without?
Probably my artist brush. Now
Oh,
this is what you need, okay? So when you're drawing, you start getting like loads of bit of pencil all over your paper, and you don't want to use your hand to wipe it because it will smudge and it will go everywhere. And I keep white backgrounds, and you need to keep the background, as white as possible. So this is like amazing just to like swipe it. It's such a simple thing, but you don't realize you need it until you start drawing with color pencil. Otherwise you just get little bits of pencil everywhere and it just dirties everything up. You get it all on your hands and your fingers, and then you're trying to draw on white paper and the background's starting to have like fingerprints everywhere. Yeah, you don't want that. It's really, really tidy just to swipe it away. You do a bit of coloring and then you swipe. So yeah, I definitely recommend getting this if you're doing color pencil drawings. It's from Faber-Castell.
okay.
Brush. Yeah.
Okay. Like just a wipe away brush. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. It's really simple, but it's so useful for keeping your work just immaculate.
Okay, great. Also, how many times per painting do you think, or per artwork do you think you brush away?
It's like every 5 minutes. So
Oh.
yeah, literally,
Oh,
like it's every 5 minutes. Like because it's so automatic, I don't really count, but it's probably every 5 minutes. I'm like brushing stuff because you do some lines and then you brush, then you do some more lines and then you brush because it's just all coming off. Like
yeah.
with the pencil, the pigment, you don't want loads of excess pigment everywhere. You need to try and keep your area as clean as possible, especially if you're doing white backgrounds, like you're leaving your background white, which is what a lot of pet portrait artists do. They just do the pet and they leave the background white. So that's mostly what I do. And to keep it actually white, you just need to keep brushing and keeping your area clean. So it's like every 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh, I bet.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now we know because I tried some butterfly colored pencils at the beginning of the year and it got everywhere because I didn't know to do that. It was, I mean, there were little smudges of yellow up top and down below where I put my hand and I'm like, I don't even know how people do this, but that's how you do it. Good to know.
Yeah, even a makeup brush, like a really fat makeup brush, any sort of like soft brush. I like that one because it's just the Faber-Castell bristles. The bristles are quite good for getting off those waxy pigments that can get stuck to your paper. So it's quite good for that. But if you're not using like waxed colors, then just a makeup brush would do. Anything like that.
Okay, great. Mary Evelyn commented, she just says, love a good crisp white background. You guys should actually connect if you don't know each other yet. She does a lot of animal portrait colored pencils that are pretty great as well. Let's see. Yeah, she says crazy pencils are their own crazy world. Or colored pencils. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see, are there any lessons you've learned the hard way?
To do with my business or to do with art?
Either one.
Probably with my business, I guess, working with customers. It took a lot of getting used to how to talk to them, how to approach them, especially when they're like asking about pricing. It took me a while to really get that system down. So now I have set prices. So if someone says, I want a picture of my dog, the first thing I say is, have you seen my prices? Because it's sort of a way to sort of cut out the people who can't pay or they don't want to pay, or because some people ask for free. It's like, no, I'm not drawing for free. This is my job. So it's sort of like a way to get the conversation going. So I initially asked them, have you seen my prices? These are my prices. What country are you from? And I get them chatting about their dog or their cat or whatever they've asked me about. And I like to have set prices so I know what they expect from me. So they're expecting NA for dog. Here's an example. That's the price. and then I know what to expect from them. So they're going to send me a picture of a dog that's going to fit this size. And it's sort of like that communication of, to make sure that they know what to expect and I know what to expect, and we're both being really clear with each other in terms of what we're trying to achieve at the end of the commission. So it took me a while to understand that relationship between customer and artist. So I said that in my book, how to set up that relationship yourself, and how to really, because it is about building relationships really with commissioned work, because you're trying to get to know the person and the thing they're commissioning, and really understand what they want from you. And you always give examples so they understand what you're capable of, because, you know, some people are like, oh, can you draw this dog but lying down instead of sitting up, and with this and with that? It's like, okay, well, I don't know what your dog looks like in that position unless you send me a picture of it, because, you know, I can't imagine things like that. So I always get people to send me multiple reference pictures if they do want a lot of changes. And also, like, being really realistic with people as well. So if they say, oh, can you complete it by next week? If you really can't, then tell them. Like, don't just lie to them and be like, oh, yeah, sure. And then it gets to next week and you're like, oh, sorry, I still can't do it, because that starts, you know, that in their mind, you know, you haven't delivered what you promised. And that can be really harmful to your business. So being really, really realistic with your time scales is another thing I learned. So now I make sure that I always complete my portraits ahead of time. I've never had an issue so far with any customers being like, oh, you forgot about me, or, you know, you haven't done this on time. Like, it's always, you know, I've done it for you. It's in the post. You'll get it a week ahead of when you wanted it. So it keeps them happy. And then they're more likely to repeat, because I get a lot of repeating customers. So you're more likely to have a repeating customer if you're always making sure that they're happy with your work and they're happy with the entire service, not just your picture. So that's been a massive thing I've learned through my business.
Very good. Good. Everything about this is just like gold, because a lot of people are like, or a lot of people will come to me and they'll be like, well, as soon as I mention price, nobody responds. And it's like, well, I mean, you probably don't want to paint for them anyway. And
yeah, that's what I always say. I say, like, they're not your customer. If they don't want to pay for it, that's fine. There are plenty of people in the world that are going to be able to afford you and that are wanting your artwork. So don't get worried about the people that don't, because that's fine. They've asked, they don't want it. It's like going into a shop. Not everyone that goes into a shop is going to buy one item. So you just have to sort of filter out those people that aren't going to be your customer, and be strong about your prices and be really committed to them as well. Because I had some comments recently, people being worried that, oh, maybe they should lower their prices because they're not getting enough commissions. I was like, no, never lower your prices. Like, you have to be really committed to your work and confident about your work, because if you start doubting yourself, you can't expect a potential customer to buy work if you're not happy with it, because they can sense the self-doubt. It's really easy to sense if you're saying, oh, you know, it's this much, but maybe I'll do it for this much, or, you know, that sort of self-doubt makes the customer start haggling with you. You don't want them to do that. You want to be really assertive and be like, no, this is how much it is. If you'd like it, fine. You know, I'm happy to do that for you. You can pay, I don't know, a deposit. I make people pay up front just to make sure that I'm paid for my artwork. So there's various types of paying, but you just have to be really specific and be really confident with it. Like, don't start lowering your prices just because you're not getting enough commissions in. It just means that you need to show yourself to more people and build the awareness.
I love that. Yes, I think a lot of people, I'm sure, are in a position to where they needed to hear that. So I'm really glad that you just said that right out. And don't, devalue your work, and somebody will pay for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, awesome. Well, we have about 5 minutes left on here, and
Okay.
the live will automatically kick us off. So we just have
Okay.
one more last question. Is there any advice that you
Okay.
give to artists who want to make art their full-time career but just don't know where to start? Like, where's a good starting point other than, well, I guess buy your book. That would actually be a very good starting
That
point.
would be a really good starting point. Yeah, so buy my book if you want to start an art career, because it tells you everything. Like, there's nothing that I can say now that isn't in my book. I've spent months writing this book to give everyone the information they need to start. So it's in my book, basically. And also have confidence in it. Like, it can be really scary at the start to be unsure if you're good enough to start selling your work. But as soon as you start gaining that confidence, be like, yeah, I am good enough. And yeah, people do like my work. That sort of builds on itself, and just keep that going, and don't get scared of not making sales. You just use the time you're not making sales to advertise more, to build more awareness of yourself, rather than lowering prices and things like that.
Very good. Awesome. Well, I think this is just so valuable for someone to start their week off with hearing this interview. I think you're just so full of art business knowledge, and it's such an important aspect of being of an art career. And so I'm so glad you came on to share, and I really hope everybody...
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And I hope everybody on here goes and buys your book, because if they're listening to this podcast because they want to know how to, build their art career, and they want to be inspired. Yeah. And so buying your book is a really good way
on my
website. Yes, on your website, which is Art by Sema Martin, or is it just...
No, just semamartin.com.
Sema Martin.
So the link's in my bio.
Okay, awesome. And I'll put it in the link for the podcast as well. And then this episode will come out exactly a week from today, and I'll send you an email about all the things. Great. So, yeah. Okay, well, again, it was so nice to meet you.
Yes, so lovely to meet you too. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
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 This episode is sponsored by the Artist Academy Advanced Membership, a program for artists who want to up-level their art game by taking it from a hobby or a side hustle to a full-time 6-figure art business. With weekly trainings that include step-by-step proven art business techniques, plus painting tutorials from yours truly and other guest artists who are masters in their field, you will be well equipped to learn and grow into the highly skilled and highly profitable artist you're meant to be. I've figured out what it takes to build my own 6-figure art business, and now my heart is set on teaching aspiring artists like you to do the same. It's not hard, but it does require your time and dedication. So, if you're up for the challenge, go to advancedmember.com. That's advancedmember.com to learn more. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. If you review our podcast and send a screenshot of that review to me on Instagram, I am at Art by Andrea Earhart. I will then promote your art on my story and tag you as a little thank you for helping me grow this podcast and our Artist Academy community. I have a reach of over 50,000 on Instagram, so this is a little help me to help you incentive. Also, if you ever want your questions answered in real time by myself or featured guests, then just hop on over to facebook.com/groups/Artist Academy to check out the schedule every Tuesday to catch us on live. I'll see you next week.